Hello noble ones and welcome to Metatron's Academy. So today I wanted to check out a channel that we have reviewed a few times, extremely popular and famous, one of the biggest ones when it comes to the language community. Oh, what am I doing here? And it's of course LangFocus, and I actually really like his banner. What can I read? Bonjour, ni hao, konnichiwa, kamusta, I guess, and I can't read these. So anyways, I noticed that we have reviewed this video on Sicilian not too long ago. I appreciated it very much, of course, but I noticed this. He recently made a video called The Greek Impact on Everything, and yeah, absolutely. I mean, this could be not just a video on language features, but clearly culture, history, like there is a lot, architecture, there's a lot we could say. And I see the word Hellenica written there. And then he even has a Greek mythology one, but that's members only. I'll consider it because I love the mythology aspect of it. We have covered it a few times on this channel too. But without further ado, I want to check out this video and let's see what he says.
In this video, I'm going to talk about an ancient language that's had an impact on pretty much the entire world. You probably use words from this language constantly without even realizing it. That language is Greek, which has been leaving its mark on languages around the globe for almost 3,000 years through conquests and commerce, scholarly and sacred texts, and cultural prestige. Alpha, beta. These are the first two letters of the Greek alphabet, and they're also the source of the word alphabet.
Yeah, exactly. Alphabet. Isn't that fascinating? I love things like this.
The Latin alphabet, which is used for English and many modern languages, developed from the Etruscan alphabet, which developed from the Greek alphabet used in Cumae, the first Greek colony in Italy in the 8th century BC. This colony was the beginning of Magna Graecia, which means Great Greece in Latin.
Yes, in Latin, and that's of course in the classical pronunciation. If it sounds weird, particularly if you're from Italy, and you're like, oh, but that's not how you say it, Magna Graecia, why does he say it like that? It's Magna Graecia in ecclesiastical Latin, but the way he pronounced it is in fact correct, and it would be period acted from 300 BC to 300 AD at least. If you're Italian, like me, just don't get mad. That's just how it sounded back in the day. It's definitely that way. Man, look how Greek Sicily is. It's insane.
Latin. They had an influence on the languages of their neighbors and on Latin as the region became absorbed by the Roman Republic. The Greek alphabet itself developed from the Phoenician script, but that wasn't exactly an alphabet. It was an abjad, meaning that the letters mainly represented consonants. The vowels weren't fully written, but the Greeks developed it into an alphabet that fully represented vowels.
Yeah, that's typical because, of course, Phoenicians were Semitic. We don't think Carthaginians were Semitic anymore by the time Carthage becomes a thing due to the latest DNA analysis. Maybe there was still a Semitic core, perhaps, we don't even know that, but it's very likely that the Carthaginians that do develop from the Phoenicians, by the time they are the Carthaginians and then they clash with Rome, they had more genetic connection to the people in the Anatolian Peninsula and the Aegean coastlines, so there is that. But yeah, originally the Phoenicians were Semitic, and so it is not strange to think that they wouldn't write down vowels, because that's what happens in pretty much every Semitic language. It happens in Hebrew, the way the Bible is written now. They did add vowels, but the original text, but even the one that Masoretic tradition interpreted, was precisely that. The interpretation was adding the vowels, because we have no idea how it was vocalized. And that's the same in ancient Egyptian, no vowels.
While the Romans were slowly encroaching on southern Italy and the city-states of Magna Graecia, Alexander the Great's conquests were expanding his empire and spreading the Greek language over a wide area to the east. It began to be spoken alongside many languages throughout the empire, like Aramaic and Persian, which I'll talk more about later, and it became the new lingua franca. The form of Greek that became widely spoken was Koine Greek. Actually, it's not Koine, it's Kini. I get this comment all the time. English words of Greek origin almost never use modern Greek pronunciation.
Yeah, he's correct. It's fine in ancient Greek, ancient Attic pronunciation, because of course modern Greek simplifies diphthongs, whereas ancient Greek fully pronounced them. So once again, he's correct.
In this case, the pronunciation koine is based on the original ancient Greek pronunciation koine. In later stages of Greek, the pronunciation evolved, including the merging of these vowel sounds with the vowel e.
So he's correct. The only thing he's not doing great is the pitch, because ancient Greek was a pitch language. But apart from that, he's fine.
English words of Greek origin are based on ancient pronunciation, but in general, their pronunciation is influenced by English, French, or Latin phonology, so they sound quite different from modern Greek.
Of course.
Koine Greek continued as the common language across Alexander's eastern territories, even after his empire splintered into several Hellenistic kingdoms, all of which were deeply influenced by Greek civilization.
I'm actually intrigued by the way he pronounced. So I would have said influenced, but he said influenced. Are both correct? I imagine. I mean, I'm not saying that he's wrong. I'm actually asking, am I wrong? Because I would have said influenced rather than influenced. But did he say it like that, or did I dream it?
The common language across Alexander's eastern territories, even after his empire splintered into several Hellenistic kingdoms, all of which were deeply influenced by Greek civilization.
Yeah, deeply influenced. I would have said deeply influenced, but maybe I'm wrong.
Eventually, these Greek-speaking regions came under the control of a new power, the Roman Empire, as it expanded eastward. But instead of replacing Greek culture, Rome often embraced it. Latin became the official language of the empire, but Greek remained widely spoken, especially in the eastern provinces. Educated Romans often learned Greek, and the Roman elite admired Greek culture even as they ruled over it. This admiration led to the adoption of Greek words into Latin, and through Latin they spread into many European languages.
Including Italian as well, my language, totally.
A few examples. Latin musica came from ancient Greek musicae. This word continues on in every Romance language, including French, musique, which was borrowed into English as music. And most European languages have a form of this word, either directly from Latin or through another language. Latin theatrum, meaning theater, came from ancient Greek theatron, which meant a place for viewing.
Note how there is this sound that usually we read as a like in think, but indeed in the Attic pronunciation it's not. The th was in fact a th, just like he's doing it. It's a T, but it's aspirated.
Again, it lives on in Romance languages, like in Spanish, teatro, and French, théâtre.
And Italian, teatro, just like in Spanish. If you're enjoying this video so far, please take a moment to check out my Patreon page. With as little as a $5 support, you can help us ensure that we can continue to produce high quality and high researched content. And at the same time, you get access to polls, extra videos, unlisted streams, and much more. Thank you so much.
The source of the English word theater and its equivalent in other Germanic languages, as well as the Russian word théâtre, and so on. Notice how many of these words entered English from French, especially Norman French, rather than from Latin itself. Latin mathematica, from ancient Greek mathematikos.
I appreciate that he's taking care of making sure to fully enunciate the phonemic vowel length in classical Latin. I very much appreciate that. Very rare to see, in fact.
Latin philosophia, from ancient Greek philosophia.
Yep.
Latin tyrannus, from ancient Greek tyrannos, meaning absolute ruler or tyrant. My 3-year-old son uses this Greek word every day, in the form of Tyrannosaurus, a combination of tyrannos and sauros, meaning lizard. Latin zona, from ancient Greek zdone, meaning a belt or sash. This has developed into the English word zone and numerous others. We'll continue in just a moment, but first
So in Italian we would say zona for that one as well.
I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, me. I want to tell you about LangFocus channel memberships, which will give you access to exclusive members-only videos.
You know, normally I skip the sponsored section. I'm not going to skip it out of respect since it's its own thing. Let's watch it.
As well as priority comment response. The newest members-only video is on Greek mythology and its impact on English vocabulary and idioms. You can become a channel member by clicking the join button, which is next to the subscribe button. I'll see you on the other side.
Cool.
The Western Roman Empire fell in the 5th century, but Latin remained crucial throughout medieval Europe, not only its evolving spoken varieties, but also standardized written Latin, which remained the language of scholarship, law, and the church. Greek words continued to make their way into Latin. Most educated Europeans read Latin and not Greek, so Greek ideas and vocabulary often reached them through Latin translations, some ancient and some new. Some of these words were of a religious nature, since Latin was the language of the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
For example, Latin
Still is the official language of the Holy See.
psalmos, from ancient Greek psalmos, meaning plucking of the harp or a song played on the harp. This is the source of English psalm, referring to a sacred song, like the one in the Book of Psalms in the Bible. Latin hierarchia, from ancient Greek hierarchia, meaning rule of a high priest. This exists in English as hierarchy.
It's interesting because I notice everyone is maintaining the H. Romanian dropped it. Italian, we say gerarchia, I think. So we do a G. Where the heck did we get that one from? I'll have to do a little linguistic analysis of that. Gerarchia.
Latin apostasia, from ancient Greek apostasia, meaning defection or revolt. This is the source of English apostasy, meaning the renunciation of your religious beliefs.
Yeah.
But scholarly vocabulary was just as important, because as European thinkers engaged with Greek philosophy, science, and medicine, they adopted words that came with the ideas. For example, Latin anatomia, from ancient Greek anatomia, meaning dissection.
You know what's interesting about this one? Man, this is a very interesting episode, and I feel like I can add the Italian.
Anatomia.
So he's saying it anatomia, and then in Greek, anatomia. In Italian, we pronounce it like this, like Greek, anatomia. Now, that could be because in Italian we do have the tendency, it's not always the case, but we do have the tendencies to stress the penultimate vowel. As I say, it's like maybe it's a 70-30 or maybe 60-40 in fact, but it is, we do have that tendency quite a bit. And if you remove the future tense, which stresses the end consistently as a systematic pronunciation feature, then I would say a big chunk, then definitely 70% of the vocabulary in Italian is stressed in the penultimate. Interestingly enough, languages that tend to be a little more linguistically conservative, like the languages of the islands, whether it be Sardinian or Sicilian, do, even though we also do that, but those languages tend to stress the beginning more often. At least I can speak about Sicilian. So just to give you an idea, even the verb elevare, to elevate in Italian, even if I were to pronounce it in Italian, but with a Sicilian accent, so I'm not using a Sicilian counterpart word, I'm using the Italian word, but with a natural Sicilian accent, speakers of mainland Italy will say io elevo, lui eleva. In Sicilian, in Sicily instead, it becomes io elevo, lui eleva. So we stress it at the beginning, and that is a characteristic that we maintained.
From ancient Greek, anatomia, meaning dissection. Latin therapia, from ancient Greek therapeia, meaning treatment. Other words already existed in Latin, but became much more widely used. Latin logicus, from ancient Greek logikos. This is the source of English logic via French logique.
Did you notice how oftentimes Latin has a U sound, while the original Greek has a O sound? It is so distinctive, like it sounds like it. Isn't it interesting as well that languages, regional languages like Sicilian, did maintain the U at the end? It's just that we often drop the S, the M, or the N. So if you look at, while Italian has evolved into a simplified O. So what that means is that if you have a word like shield, which in Latin would be scutum, with a U-M at the end, but the M is nasalized. In Italian, that changed into scudo. So the T became a D, and the the M was dropped completely, and the U became a O, scudo. But in Sicilian, we say scutu. So it's the same, just without the M. That's really the only difference with Latin. And I guess Latin had a definitive, distinctive phonemic length in U, whereas Sicilian tends to pronounce it. It is stressed, but not necessarily long per se. I mean, any stress increases elongation a bit, but not in the same way as actual long vowels.
Latin physica, from ancient Greek psyche. This is the source of the English word physics and its many equivalents. Latin astronomia, from ancient Greek astronomia. This is the source of the English word astronomy.
Once again, Italian now matches with Greek astronomia.
Remember, during this time, Latin was the international language of the educated class in Europe, so words like these continued to spread far and wide beyond Latin. During this time, Latin was not the only gateway for Greek words.
Okay, so the part with the Byzantine, I'm going to leave it for his own video, because as you know, when I make React videos, as a personal rule of thumb, I don't react to the entire video. So we're going to skip this entire chunk, and you can consider this reaction of mine to provide commentary, of course, and be transformative, but in general also as a demo. Did you like this? Then please go to his video and keep watching it, watch this entire section, and possibly leave a comment and subscribe. But I do want to see the end, what he has to say.
Overstatement. Greek didn't influence everything. Well, I guess it's not everything, but it probably has influenced almost every language you've ever heard of, at least a little bit, even if that's through English loanwords or international academic vocabulary. And that's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yep.
The question of the day. If you're a speaker of modern Greek, tell us some words of Greek origin that you notice people using in other languages. And to other people, were you surprised to discover that any of the words in the video are of Greek origin?
Not really, but then again, I do have linguistic training. Although then again, let me tell you this. Okay, I'll give you a personal anecdote as a end of this. So in Italian, we have the word for star, and it's stella, stella. However, we do have another expression to mean kind of stars, and it's astri. It's usually a plural, and it means all stars, gli astri, celesti, we sometimes say, the stars in the sky. However, I did not know that that came from Greek. And in fact, I don't know how to pronounce it in modern Greek. Maybe aster. I'm not sure, you'll correct me. But yeah, that's clearly, that's the word for star. And of course, it's the basis of astronomy, right? Asteri, there you go, modern Greek. So Greek word star this is probably ancient Greek. So in modern Greek is asteri. And yeah, we say astri. So I didn't know. I learned this one very late. I thought it was an Italian word, and instead it was Greek through and through. Thank you for watching and joining Metatron's Academy. Ciao.